Hi, my name is Ben. I'm talking today about photovoltaic systems. Predominantly, mine up there does have a photovoltaic system, but you can't see the solar panels because it's facing south. So, I have a 5 kilowatt system that powers a 3,800 square foot house. And well, frankly, it's not enough power to cover my electricity bill. So be very careful when you get involved with leases, especially when the old homeowner doctors the bill in order for it to make it look like he doesn't spend any money. So, because you'll end up paying about $8,000 extra a year in energy, plus the lease of the solar system. So, I digress. So, photovoltaic systems, what are they? Well, basically, photo means light, and voltaic means electricity. Now, the light comes in from the sky, and obviously hits the solar panels, which you can't see. My neighbors have some. And when it hits it, I guess the solar panels are filled with silicone cells, and when the sunlight hits them, it vibrates the electrons, and then it creates energy. And so the energy is AC electrical, and then actually it's DC, and then it converts into AC through the inverter. Come on, let's go see the inverter. And then it comes down to this thing. This is an inverter. Now, a lot of solar panels, and what the inverter does, it converts the energy from DC to AC, and AC we can use throughout the house. We can use it to power this thing here, a water pressurizer for the house, because when you live in the hills, you live close to the water tank up there, then you don't have much pressure in your house, so you have to buy one of those. But anyway, as I was saying, the converter comes from the AC to the DC, or DC to the AC, and then it'll power your house. Now, this only powers your house through the daytime when the sun's out. Obviously, at nighttime, we're not getting power to the solar panels, right? The moonlight's not powering the solar panels, it's just the sunlight. So how would you counteract that? Well, we need batteries. So over here, we are supposed to eventually get battery packs that are put on these walls, and then the solar panels will charge the batteries, and you can use the power throughout the day, and then at night the batteries should take over and take care of all the use at night. However, with a 5 kilowatt system, it might not work. I might need more power, and matter of fact, I know I need more power, but it is what it is. I hear they're throwing the batteries at us for free, so hey, I can't say no to that, and we'll figure out the solar panels later. Okay, and so the photovoltaic system, our solar panels right now, they have that inverter. And now the newer panels these days, because these are about 12 years old, a really good way to go is the ones with the microinverters. So that big inverter that you saw in the garage, a lot of newer systems don't have that. They have microinverters connected to the solar panels, and so now when let's say if one of my panels goes out with the inverters, the way it is with my big inverter in the garage, the system will stop working. They'll have to repair that one panel in order for them to all work. When you have microinverters that are attached to the panels, if one goes out, it's okay. The rest of the system works. Maybe you're only working at 90%. Maybe we're only working at 80% of its capacity, but you're still able to work at its capacity. So, as I was saying earlier, when the sunlight strikes a solar cell, it excites the electrons, okay? And it creates that current. It's known as the photovoltaic effect, and it was discovered in 1839 by French physicist Edmond Becquerel. All right, so some of the challenges of the photovoltaic systems are upfront cost. A lot of times you need quite a bit of money. They told me for a 23 kilowatt system, it would be about $75,000 by the time I took off the old solar system, paid it off because it was leased when we bought it. And so I would need 70 grand right off the front to pay for that. So yeah, now they do have federal tax credits, incentives, and they also have financing, or you can lease them. So that's another thing to look at. Solar energy is intermittent, only generates power. Obviously, the limitations of this is when the sun's out, unless you have the battery storage. Although I will say that the maintenance of these is not much. They're generally low maintenance, but inverters and batteries will need to be replaced over time. A typical system lasts 25 to 30 years, so save up your money during that time so you can put it back in it. And then also the net metering policies have changed. Before it was 1-to-1, I believe, like every I don't know if it was kilowatt you gave back or watt you gave back, that they would compensate you so you could actually make money from California. But I guess they were losing too much money on that, and so they pulled that back now. And so as seen on NEM 3.0 in California, changes to utility compensation for excess solar generation can affect the economic return on investment. Understanding these policies is essential for making informed decisions, meaning when you buy your solar system, know that you, just because you give the energy company back money doesn't mean you're going to get back one for one like in the old days. Like if you give them $10 worth of energy, they're going to give you $10. Now if you give them $9 in energy, they're going to give you $3 back. I think it is 3-to-1. So something to think about. So some of the benefits of the photovoltaic systems are clean, renewable energy. They generate electricity without emitting greenhouse gases. Unlike fossil fuels, and solar panels abundant and renewable, meaning that it won't run out in our lifetime. They also lower energy bills, meaning, as long as you have the right system for the right situation, you're not going to have to pay too much to electricity, and in some cases you get money back from the electric companies. Energy independence if the grid ever goes down. One thing I would like to mention though, if you do not have the batteries, you need to have a generator, because technically speaking, even if you have solar panels during the day, it's not going to work without the electricity from Southern California Edison or whatever powering the inverter. So you do need energy in order to get the solar panels working. So a generator, some people switch over to a generator. If you have a battery, then that will help power the thing so it can work. Let's say if there's a widespread power outage. Yes, and it has created a lot of jobs and economic development. They had the California Solar Initiative that was launched in 2007, and it laid the groundwork for widespread solar adoption. I've heard that it has created a lot of jobs, and obviously it has, and so that's a positive. I've also heard though that like nuclear power is safer, because every year so many guys installing these solar panels fall off the roof and have different issues where the nuclear power it generates way more power, and you don't have to worry as much about, we haven't had big catastrophes with the nuclear power. So when you add it up, more people die every year installing solar panels than for nuclear energy. I enjoyed doing this video and working with my nephew, Gabe, on this photovoltaic systems. I do think it's a great deal to have. I would probably optimally prefer to have the microinverter on my solar panel, as well as more panels to have 23 kilowatts to cover all my utilities at this time. But thank you for coming along with this on this journey with me, and have a good day. And furthermore, Photovoltaic system. The definition is the total component circuits that are in combination to convert solar energy into electric energy. And I would like to read about arc fault protection. And this is code 690.11. Arc fault circuit protection. Photovoltaic systems with PV system of circuits operating at 80 volts DC or greater between the two conductors shall be protected by a listed PV arc fault circuit interrupter or other system components listed to provide equivalent protection. The system shall detect and interrupt arcing faults resulting from a failure in the intended continuity of the conductor, connection, module, or other system components and the PV systems of circuits. Now, we're going to look at 690.13E, which is the type of disconnect. The PV system disconnecting means shall simultaneously disconnect the PV system conductors that are not solidly grounded from all conductors of other wiring systems. The PV system disconnecting means or its remote operating devices or enclosures providing the access to the disconnecting means shall be capable of being locked in accordance with 110.25. The PV system disconnecting means shall be one of the following: a manually operating switch or circuit breaker, a connector meeting the requirements of 690.33 D1 or D3. Number 3, a pull-out switch which is required to interrupting rating of a 4 amp remote controlled SWEAI able locally and opens automatically when control powers is interrupted. A device listed or approved for the intended application informational note. Circuit breakers marked line and load may not be suitable for backfeed or reverse current. So we don't want the current heading back the wrong way. And another important point about PV systems is the grounding. And on 690.41, it addresses that. So A, PV system grounding configurations. One or more of the following systems configurations shall be employed. Number 1, a 2-wire PV arrays with one functionally grounded conductor. 2, bipolar PV arrays according to 690.7C, which is a functional ground reference center tap. Number 3, PV arrays not isolated from the grounded inverter output circuit. Number 4, underground PV arrays. Number 5, solidly grounded PV arrays as permitted in 690.41B. And number 6, PV systems that use other methods that accomplish equivalent systems protection in accordance with 250.4A with equipment listed and identified for the use. And that, my friends, is some exciting cut. So this was exciting electrical code from the 690, and oh, we got bases loaded, Dodgers. All right. Which concludes my video. Thank you very much.